What is up, everyone? Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about Star Wars: The Old Republic. Recently, they just dropped the update 7.2.1, which means they finally brought a 64-bit edition of the client into play, and it has never been a better game experience. It's as smooth as butter right now, and if there was ever a time to jump into this game and play Star Wars: The Old Republic, it would be now. And it actually made me realize the other day that I hadn't done an updated version of Is It Worth It? So that's what we're doing today. We are reviewing Star Wars: The Old Republic, and we are discussing, is the game worth it? Is this something that you might want to play? There are some pros and cons, things to consider about whether or not you might want to invest your time in this. We're going to be talking about all those things, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to make a decision about whether or not you think this is something that you're going to want to invest your time into or not. I think it is, by the way. So without further ado, we're going to dive in. But before we do, as always, if you're new, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And if you like this video, don't be afraid to hit that super thanks button and donate to the channel. You can also do that on any YouTube short that you see. Plus, there's membership options here on the channel. There's a Patreon page. We have a Discord. Links are on down below. From there, we're going to get into the video. So, here we go. One of the first things that you have to consider about Star Wars: The Old Republic in 2023 is, do I start a character and play through the original Star Wars: The Old Republic content, or do I create a boosted character and go straight to the cap and play through the most recent content? I think the answer to this question depends largely on, are you someone who has never played the game before, or are you someone who is coming back for the first time in a long time, or are you someone who's maybe played through a couple of the different classes but you want to do something different? Maybe you've seen all of the level 1 to 50 content and now you want to see what the new stuff is. There's lots of content across the board. There's a lot of expansions that have been released over the years, so there's tons of stuff to sink your teeth into. So here's one of the things I would urge you to consider if you're coming into this game new for the very first time in 2023, and that's this. Over here on the left, you're going to notice there are 8 different icons. These represent the various origin stories of the game. Now, on this particular server, I've only completed 3 of the origin stories, which are represented by the gold icons that have been filled out. The other ones are still gray because I haven't done those origin stories yet. There are 4 origin stories for the Republic and 4 origin stories for the Empire side. An origin story is the original Star Wars: The Old Republic content, which is down here. That's level 1 to level 50 content. And each origin story represents roughly 25 hours of gameplay through an original storyline that will be unique to whatever class it is that you're playing, or whatever origin as they call it these days. You have a smuggler, the Jedi Knight, the Imperial, the Sith Inquisitor, the Imperial Agent, things of that nature. There's 4 on each side. So right off the bat, free to play. You don't have to spend a penny to play through those origin stories. So you've got 200 hours of gameplay at your fingertips without ever needing to spend a dime. That is an incredible amount of value considering what is available out there these days. Now, you can download the game directly from their website. I believe there's also a Steam version available, although I don't do anything through Steam, so I'm not familiar with that. So that would be one of the caveats I would say into making your decision is, if you just want to play the game, you can go to their website and download it from there, and then if you want to play it through Steam, you can get it through Steam. I think one of the benefits to doing it through Steam is that you would be able to set up a controller to play it that way, although it would take some finagling. Otherwise, it's just going to be mouse and controller, or mouse and keyboard, I should say, which is the way it's always been since the beginning. So that first decision you have to make is, am I going to create a new character, or am I going to create a boosted character? I would highly urge you to just, if you've never done it before, play through the origin stories, because again, 25 hours of original story per origin. That's a ton of content, and each one is unique. So even though you might be going to planets that you would go to with other classes, it's your own unique story, so you're never going to repeat it. You get all of that content originally for your character. And then once you get to level 50, you could then go through all the expansions if you want to in order, which is what I'm doing right now with Mujin on Thursdays, and anybody who wants to join us, by the way. We're currently in the Rise of the Hutt Cartel expansion, and we're just working our way through. I think the next one's the Shadow of Varan, and then there's other stuff beyond that. So that's one of the things you should consider, is that there is just a ton of content available. The game's been out for I want to say 12 or 13 years now. So looking at, is it worth it in 2023? From sheerly a content perspective, yes, because there is a ton of content available. Now, once you've decided what you're going to play, the decision has to be made. What's your allegiance going to be? Are you going to play on the Galactic Republic side of things or the Sith Empire side of things? This really doesn't matter outside of a role-playing perspective, because at the end of the day, the way they have tweaked the game over the years, if you want to play on the side of the Republic, you'll have largely the Republic origin stories, but you'll also have the ability to pick a lot of the class abilities that used to be locked to the Empire side and vice versa. So you'll be able to have a wide range of abilities to choose from, or play styles to choose from, so you're not locked into any significantly, one class or the other. It really just comes down to a role play favorite. Do you want to be on the light side or do you want to be on the dark side? But it's not really that simple, because in dialogue, as you play through the game, if you've never played this game before, everything revolves around dialogue choices and cutscenes. It's 100% voiced. It's a fully voiced game, and every time you're in a conversation, you have multiple decisions that you can choose from, and most of the time those decisions are tied to a light side response or a dark side response. Those options will slowly modify the alignment of your character, so you can be a dark side Republic character or a light side Empire character. It really doesn't matter. So even though you're on, the Republic side or the Empire side, from there it's just a matter of, are you a good bad guy or are you a bad good guy? These are just roleplay decisions at the end of the day. You can choose one way or the other. It doesn't really affect too much other than the origin stories, because again, there are only 4 origin stories per side. So if I were to come over to the Republic, we would have the Jedi Knight, the Jedi Consular, the Smuggler, and the Trooper. Those are the 4 origin stories with the 4 classes. If we went over to the Sith Empire, we would get 4 different origin stories: the Sith Warrior, the Sith Inquisitor, the Bounty Hunter, and the Imperial Agent. These are the original storylines that were launched with the game when it first came out. So this is the stuff that takes you from level 1 to 50. And each one of these origin stories is unique. But again, apart from the roleplay component and the origin stories themselves, there's really no difference between the Republic and the Sith. Now, something to consider that is, however, is that crossplay is not allowed. So if you play Republic, you're only going to be able to group up with people on the Republic side. You can only join a guild of players from the Republic side. You can only do conquests and things from the Republic side, and vice versa. If you start a guild on the Empire side, only people from the Empire can join the guild, and so on and so forth. But you can have characters from both sides of the fence on the same server. And if we go back to the character selection screen, you get a ton of characters. It looks like 17 active characters total per server that you can have, just with the free-to-play version of the game. So you can have a ton of characters if you want to play through lots of different things and explore lots of different options. So feel free to play around, because there's lots of different things to do in this game. Now, one of the decisions that a lot of people have to make is, do I need to play this game as a VIP, or should I play this game as a free-to-play? Like, do I invest money in this, or do I, pay a monthly subscription? I always tell people when I'm doing these, is it worth it videos, is that if you're only going to play for 5 hours a week, it's probably not worth spending any money on the game, unless you just want to do one-off purchases through the Cartel Store, which we will talk about as a part of this section of the video. If you're going to be playing more than 5 hours a week, if you're going to be like 10 hours a week or more, I think it's worth the VIP subscription at that point, because you get a lot of preferred status aspects added to your account. As an example, if you're free to play, there is a credit limit to how many credits your character can hold on them at any given time, which I think is 1 million credits. If you are a VIP, there's no credit limit. And that can be a hindrance to some people if you're trying to, say, buy a guild ship or buy things off of the market on the older servers where inflation exists, because items might cost 3 or 4 million credits. But if you can only hold 1 million credits at any given time, you're never going to actually be able to buy anything off the broker. So that's a consideration. But I would also say that that's only a consideration if you're someone who's going to be spending a ton of time playing the game. There are other perks to being a VIP, which we could talk about. Let's actually log into the game and we'll take a look at a couple of things here. So we'll log into my smuggler here to kind of look a little bit more, because I also want to show you guys the Cartel Store and kind of explain that a little bit. So if you've ever played a free-to-play game before in the past, there's usually going to be some type of a cash shop associated with the game, and it's no different here. Now, the cash shop is entirely optional. You don't have to touch the cash shop if you don't want to. It's not something that's required to level up your character at all. But it does exist as a place to get lots of cosmetic items. Now, the way that you get cartel points, which I don't have very many right now, I probably can't see because of the way I'm seated right now. I only have a couple hundred points right now. Can I move this window and show you guys a little bit more? I can. There you go. I have 220 points. I don't really have any points right now. I can spit all my points. The points are what you use to buy items from the store. They are mostly cosmetic. There are a few things like Section X, I think, which is like a special area that you can get to. Those are things where, as an example, if I was a VIP subscriber paying a monthly subscription, I would automatically get access to that area. Let me look at it real quick. I think it's literally called Section X. Yeah, access authorization says here, grants access to an area, Section X, to acquire the companion HK51. Section X is a level 50 area, but if I was a VIP subscriber, I'm paying a monthly subscription, I would get access to that area as a bonus. But that's extra material that's not part of the main storyline, so it's considered additional. It's not required to level up your character. It's not required to progress your class storylines. It's just optional content. So it's one of those things where, like, if you want to do it, you can. You can either buy it straight up from the store, or you can choose to be a VIP and get access to it by being a VIP. Another good example is that if you choose to do crafting, you'll notice here on the crew skills page, I have arms tech and investigation, and then there's a third ability here that's currently empty, and it says see crew skills trainer. Now, on a free-to-play account, you only get access to 2 abilities. But the reality is that if you're going to do any crafting, you actually need that third one, because you're going to need your crafting, you're going to need your harvesting, and then there's a third one which is also harvesting to get some of the rare mats that you would need for crafting. And if you're on free to play, you only get 2 skills, and what they want you to do is they want you to go to the cartel market and they want you to buy the third skill, unlock the crew skill slot from the store for X amount of coins. Now, if I was a VIP subscriber, I would automatically get that third crafting slot unlocked by being a VIP, but only during the time that you have a subscription. Once you, if you're no longer subscribing, you lose that third slot and you would need to purchase it from the store. So these are some of the considerations for whether or not you would want to go VIP or play as a free-to-play. I have been playing for the first time ever on a free-to-play version of the account. I've always been a VIP every time I've played in the past. Usually I'll come in and play for about 3 months with my brother, and we'll drop like a 3-month sub and just go. But this time around, I was wanting to actually do an experiment, so I've been playing free-to-play and just buying things from the store and unlocking them for my account and accumulating points over time, because you get that's the other thing too, is if you have the security app installed on your phone, you get an X amount, I forget how many coins it is, but you get cartel points every month delivered directly to your account just by having a security app installed to your phone. So it's a great way to just earn passive points while you're just sitting there. And there have been times where my brother and I have not played for 12, 15 months. We come back and we've accumulated hundreds of points, and it's a great way of being like, oh, cool, we forgot that we had that turned on. So that's a consideration if you're going to be choosing whether or not to play free-to-play or VIP. What I can say is, after having been playing for about 2 months now on a free-to-play account, entirely free-to-play, I have not felt limited in any way, shape, or form, with the exception of if I wanted to do crafting. I would need to actually go buy that from the Cartel Store. But I'm not doing crafting, so I don't feel like I'm limited. I've done crafting in the past. I have max crafters on another server. I don't feel compelled to do crafting because, again, I've done it before. It's not necessary for me. But that is a caveat to consider if you're going to be coming into this game and playing it. Do I go free to play or do I pay for a subscription? The other nice thing about the subscription is not only do you get all of these little perks, these quality of life features, you also get, I believe it's 500 cartel points per month that automatically get applied to your account while you're a VIP subscriber, which allows you to accumulate points to spend in the Cartel Store. So that's just a consideration of should I go VIP or should I play free to play? The next question I hear a lot of people asking is, well, is there enough content? What am I going to be doing in the game? What do you want to do in the game? Seriously, what do you want to do? Do you want to do quests and have an amazing storyline experience? That's here. That's that BioWare single-player RPG, lots of conversation wheels, dialogue, all these options to go through and just sink your teeth into a Star Wars experience. That's here. You want to do group-based gameplay? Oh, that's here as well. Not only can you just group with your friends and do the quests and missions on the planets and everything else, there's also the flashpoints, which are the instances, and there is a matchmaking system here. So I could go down here on the bottom right, and I could go into the queue, and I could bring this up and say, I want to do flashpoints. I'm going to set my roll to damage. I would join the queue, and within a couple of minutes at most, it would automatically group me up with other players and transport me to a random instance, or a flashpoint as they're called here. There's also PvP matches if you want to do PvP. Then there's the solo planetary missions that you can do. And there's also things called operations, which are essentially raids that are up to, I believe, 12 people if you want to participate in those. And those all have storylines associated with them. So there's single player content, there's group-based content, there's PvP content, and there's PvE content, should you choose. But wait, there's more, because there's also space combat. If you haven't caught my tutorial video the other day, I did a recent tutorial video on the space combat missions that you can do with your own ship, which is just PvE only. But then there is also the space combat that you can do against other players. I gotta remember what is the hotkey to bring it up. Yeah, Galactic Starfighter is what it's called. And this is where you can come in here and you get all these different ships that you can level up and play. And this is this is a PvP version of Starfighters. You can go in and play all of these different missions and have fun doing PvP Starfighter as well. So again, lots of different content to sink your teeth into in Star Wars: The Old Republic. And because the game's been out for, whatever it is, 12, 13 years now, again, I said this at the beginning, there's so much content that you've got more than a dozen years of things to do. So it's not like you're going to run out of content. I've been playing this game since launch. I still have yet to finish the Inquisitor storyline, as an example. I've done the other 7 origin stories, and I've played 2 characters through the max to Onslaught, which I think is the expansion from last year. I still haven't done Legacy of the Sith. I'm actually working on that this year, which was the expansion from last year. But I've played all of the origin stories except for one. Because again, there are so many things to do that even though I've been playing the game, it's not like I only play this game though. So that's the caveat, is I'll play this for a few months out of the year, go away, come back, go away, come back, go away, come back. But there's plenty of content to keep you going on and on and on and on and on. And it's lots of different types of content depending on what you want to do. So it's just up to you. What do you want to do? Find something. There's tons of it. There's one other consideration that I would like to throw into the mix as well, which is a lot of people ask, well, there seems to be lots of content in the game, but what about housing? Like, what about the things that allow me to personalize the game and really make myself feel like I'm in the Star Wars world and more than just playing a game? So first and foremost, every class gets its own ship once you hit, I think around, I want to say level 10 or so. It's when you get to your capital planet for the first time, whether it's Coruscant or Dromund Kaas or the other side, you'll be able to choose, get your own ship, and you can go onto your ship, and that ship is yours, and you can personalize that ship and add perks to it and add mailboxes and everything else. And that's where you're going to spend a lot of your time from level 1 to level 50. But beyond that, housing is in the game. It got introduced to the game, I can't remember, pretty early on. Can't tell you when it was. They're called Strongholds. And over here on the left, you'll see the Stronghold Commissioner here on the fleet. You can talk to him, excuse me, and you'll find out more information about these strongholds. But essentially, a stronghold is your personal house. And you can have a house. You can have more than one, I believe. There's also guild ships. Guilds can get ships and decorate the ships. But there are houses on all these different planets. So, for example, we could go to Rishi and we could look at the Rishi listing. There's a Rishi hideout. We could go visit somebody else's house and look at what they have. But there's strongholds on Rishi, Tatooine, Yavin 4, Alderaan, Coruscant, Manan, and Shada. And I believe there are new flashpoints coming this year, or I think they just added not flashpoint, sorry. I think they just added a new stronghold with 7.2.1, but I haven't looked at it yet. But there's more stuff coming, and of course there's the guild strongholds as well, which are the ships. But if I wanted to go to, say, look at someone's stronghold, if you've never seen a stronghold before, we could go to a public listing here and choose to go look at somebody's house. Let's go to Lenore's Pirate Roost, and we can travel to this individual's stronghold and take a look at this, because this is a whole nother level of the game that I haven't even actually sunk my teeth into a lot yet. I've thrown a few things into my stronghold. I'm actually thinking of getting into the strongholds more in 2023 so that I can actually do some video content around them. But in the meantime, let's take a look at someone else's house, which is what we're doing right now. We're visiting someone's stronghold so that you can see that, oh yes, not only can you do all the storyline stuff and everything else, you can not only customize your own ship, you can also get a stronghold on all these different planets and then customize the stronghold as you see fit. So we are loading in here, fleshed out. So you can see all of these different areas that they've customized with a bar and chairs and everything else. Oh, really cool. How do we get up into that's the fighting ring. It looks like we can go up through here. Oh, and now we're getting into the actual. So they've done quite a good job at fleshing this out in their own unique way. Because when you first get started, I'll take you to mine here in a second, and you'll see what mine looks like. Because mine is very bare bones. So this is someone's actually taken the time to completely flesh out. They've probably put a lot of time and money into this to make this look really, really cool and unlock all the various components. So looking at this, I'll take you to mine really quick, guys. Let's go to the strongholds just so that you can see. Because mine is very bare bones in comparison, and you can see what they look like when you first get started versus what they look like when you flesh them out and get some of the better ones. Because housing is a component to this game that, again, I've not spent a lot of time in, but you might want to. And if it's a consideration for you as to whether or not you're going to want to invest a lot of time into this game in 2023 or beyond, then I want to show you all the components that you could sink your teeth into, because this might be something that makes you this might be the thing that makes the decision for you. I know a lot of people, like with EverQuest 2 as an example. EverQuest 2 has a really good housing system that is the decision-making factor for a lot of people when they decide whether or not they're going to put a lot of time into EverQuest 2 or not, because the gameplay might be, only 10% of what they want to get into, and then they get into the housing, which is the other component. So we are arriving at our apartment on Coruscant. This is actually the apartment owned by my Republic Trooper character. It's the only stronghold I have right now. I am going to be, I'm doing a smuggler playthrough on a different character for the storyline, and I'm going to be purchasing an apartment on Nar Shaddaa for the tutorial video that I'm going to be doing later on, coming up. So hopefully you'll stick around for that kind of stuff. So this is the Coruscant apartment, or stronghold, and I only have the base version now. I haven't unlocked all of the additions yet. So you can see here, very quick, I've only got some very rudimentary stuff set up, holographs of my companions. We could run through, everything's bare bones. I really haven't decorated yet, but you can see we have quite a bit of space, coming in here, and then we can go up the stairs and check out the second level. And then if I were to want to, I could buy this expansion for 1,000,000 credits, which I only have 520,000. So that would be a way to add that entire outdoor section with the landing pad out there to my. So we can actually look at that. That would add that entire expansion out there to my stronghold. So anyway, something to consider. In the meantime, let's go ahead and head back to our personal starship so you guys can get a look at that as we go ahead and wind this video up, because we are getting to the point where I have to say to people, here's the decision you have to make. Do you like Star Wars? If you do, if you're like me and you love Star Wars and all of its iterations, then this game is absolutely worth your time. It has great storylines, great writing, great voice acting, cutscenes. It is a little outdated in terms of graphics, but it still looks pretty good, especially considering they just added the 64-bit. They just added the 64-bit client to the game, which means we have a whole lot in terms of better graphical quality and smoothness and everything else. You can now sink your teeth into the game, and people were reporting FPS increases of like 20 to 30 FPS better than what they were getting previously, because now we have access to the 64-bit client. So lots of considerations to be made. I think the game ultimately is worth it if you love Star Wars, and it doesn't matter to me if you only want to spend about 5 or 10 hours a week, or if you want to spend 30 or 48 hours a week. There's so much to do in this game. You can choose to go free to play and just play it a few hours here and there. You can choose to go VIP and just go whole hog. It's really up to you, but it's a 10 out of 10 for me. This is one of those games that I never ever uninstall from my PC. It's always on my PCs. I've played this game since launch, much like Lord of the Rings Online. Highly recommend it to everyone I talk to. We play it together on a casual basis. You can join our Discord if you want to come hang out with us there. We are on the Alliance side on the Starforge server, and then my brother and I have some characters on the Empire side on another server, but we're not playing those right now. But anyway, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Don't forget to support if you can. Memberships are the easiest way here on YouTube. There's 3 different tiers of memberships, but you can also do super chats on live streams and premieres. You can do a super thanks on any uploaded video or YouTube short that you see. We also have a Patreon page for those of you who want to get involved with the point-and-click game, fantasy book series, a tabletop game that I have with my wife and my brother. All the links to that stuff are down below. And until next time, everybody, stay safe, happy gaming, may the Force be with you.